Hi there, Carl Craig West here, and I want to take a couple of minutes to share with you a bit of a story with a very important management and leadership lesson behind it. And it was inspired by my 15-year-old daughter Abigail, who is tasked with washing dishes in our house because our kitchen is really small and we don't have a dishwasher. So the other day I noticed that a particular plate hadn't been washed that well. So I pointed it out to Abigail and she said, "Look, if you want it done your way, to your standards, then do it yourself." And I said to her, "Look, it doesn't matter how you get it done, as long as everything's clean and we're able to eat off the plates." But it got me thinking, because I thought, well, there's a bit of a management lesson here, especially around delegation, because many of us have teams, many of us have people who work for us. If we're managers or we run a small business, we'll have folks who we give work to. And one of the biggest challenges when you run a small business or you are a manager is to let go of certain things. And one of those things is how the work gets done. You see, when we do a job and we know we do it in a particular method to get a particular result, we seem to think that when we give that work to somebody else, they're going to do it in exactly the same way. And lots of cases that doesn't happen. And it can be very frustrating for a manager to see somebody doing a particular job that you may have done for quite some time and to see someone else doing it differently. Now, I would say, okay, that's great, and it can be frustrating for you to begin with, but the key is, what are the results going to look like? As long as when you give work over to people, they know exactly what you expect, to what standard, and at what time, then how it gets done, to a large part, doesn't really matter, as long as it gets done. And this is one of the most challenging things for a manager, especially when people have recently become managers, is to make sure that you delegate effectively. You give work over effectively to your staff. So there's a few key things to consider here. If what you're aiming to do depends on a particular process, yes, of course, the staff need to learn that particular process. If it has to be done in a particular way to get a particular results, then fine. Teach your staff, make sure they know it, make sure they understand it, make sure they can do it. And spend the time. It's worth doing, because if it takes it off your plate, it will save you huge amounts. Also, focus on results. If the work isn't dependent upon a process, if the work or methodology for getting there doesn't necessarily have to be done in a particular way, focus on results. So here's what I want, here's what it needs to look like, and this is when I want it by. That is the key to good delegation. It can be uncomfortable, but I would say spend the time. You should never ever be thinking, goodness sake, I can do this better and faster myself. Give it back. No, hand it over. Make sure that they know what they're doing. Make sure they know how you need it to be done if that's important. But more importantly, give the work over and trust that they can do it. If they can't, train them. If they're still struggling, coach them. But ultimately, delegation will save you hours, hundreds, possibly thousands of hours if you get good at it, enabling you to focus on only the things that you should be doing. Well, I hope that's been important. I hope that's been useful to you. If it has, write something in the comments below, and thanks for watching. Bye for now.